gentlemen. My apologies at the outset for not starting at 7 p.m. as we had promised in the agenda, but we normally have to account for the fact that this is Delhi, and now that the odd even is over, I guess the traffic is back on the streets, so our apologies for this slightly delayed start. My name is Sunanda, and I head marketing for CA Technologies in India. And I welcome you on behalf of the entire team to this conference called, centered around making application performance management epic. Why epic is something that my colleagues who come onto the stage after me will explain in greater detail. But thank you so much for taking the time out. This today is actually the last in the Pan-India series of roadshows that we've done, and we've got excellent feedback across. My only request is please keep it very interactive, keep it very engaging and interesting. We have a very interesting lineup of speakers here for you. We have Jason Warfield, who's come all the way from DC to present our application performance management story to you. Jason is a person I look up to, not only because of his 6'4" frame, but also because he is a huge authority in the APM space. Following him will be Tio Baggio, who's come to take you through how exactly APM works, and he's come all the way from Singapore. But before they come on the stage, I have our very own Mr. Abhilash Purushothaman, who is the country director for the enterprise management business. He will take you through the trends, the application economy that's taking the world by storm. He will take you through the macro view of that, and after that introduce APM to you. So over to you, Abhilash.
Hi, thank you, Sunanda, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Good evening to everybody. My name is Abhilash. As Sunanda said, I run the Enterprise Management Business Solutions, which is around server, network, data centers, etc., as well as the application management solutions that CA has to offer. What I want to do now, before we get the experts to dig in a little bit, I want to take a step back, and with all of you, I want to look at why are we doing this? What's the context? What has changed? And what has made us do something significantly different from what we have been doing for more than 15 years? It's important to understand the context, because the context gives you the reasons why we are doing certain things in a different way as to a lot of other competitors in the market, what they're doing today. So let's start with what's happening online. All of you are aware today the whole world is online. Everything happens online. There's a lot of stress that is given to businesses and users and consumers to go online to consume services or even deliver services. You look at over the last 3 years how different services online, how the users, the subscriptions have progressed. You get a picture of where this is going, and I don't even have 2015 in here. That's going to be really a different world altogether. Now, something interesting is happening, right? In online, what is happening is the whole paradigm of how companies do business changes. Look at Uber, which is the largest taxi company in the world, which doesn't own any taxis. Look at Facebook, which is the largest content provider in the world, who doesn't own any content. Look at Airbnb, which is the largest hotel chain in the world, who doesn't own any hotels. Look at Alibaba, which is the largest retail chain in the world, who doesn't carry any inventory. Something interesting is definitely happening. The traditional business models, which we couldn't imagine, could not survive with brick and mortar capabilities, whether it is a hotel chain without hotels or a taxi service without taxis, are transforming themselves into businesses that are driven by software. When a business gets driven by software, the economics of the business is purely based on how the software experience that the consumer gets. 2 years ago, as an organization, we've been in this business for a long time. CA was founded in 1976. We were a mainframe company to start with. We migrated the transition from mainframe to distributed in the early 2000s, and we kind of reinvented ourselves to be relevant in the distributed world. Now this transition from distributed to digital is happening, where every consumer, every organization, every business wants to go digital. So we kind of took a step back and we thought, what is relevant in this business? How can we be more relevant to customers? How can we be more relevant into the business that you want to do tomorrow? And we realized that businesses will be driven by software. Software will become the centrifugal force around which businesses will be built. And we coined this tagline saying business rewritten by software. And today it's playing out. You look at some of the examples that I took and some of the stuff that we want to talk about now. It will clearly give you the picture that business is actually rewritten by software and applications. Now, if business is rewritten by software and applications, experience that you have with an application is everything. Right? You spend a lot of money to drive people to get into businesses that are driven by application software. I'll give you an example. If you travel very frequently between Bangalore, Mumbai and Delhi like I do, then you would see recently, as in the last 6 months, you would see a lot of big hoardings of Union Bank of India, UBI. Right? They are going the mobile way in a very, very big way. They're spending a lot of money investing into their mobile strategy, their mobile platform. So they're not only developing the mobile platform, but they're spending a lot of money advertising to drive users to that platform. Now, we were with the Union Bank of India some time ago, and then I came to know that they're spending millions of dollars in this advertisement campaign, marketing campaign that they're running. And the person who is a very, very senior figure in UBI said, but we get all these people into our mobile platform, and then he opens up his mobile and says, but when I log in, if the app crashes, all that money that I spent in getting that one user here is gone, because experience is everything. Brands today want to drive traffic into their application software to do transactions, to do business. But they can only, through marketing programs, they can only drive the user till the application, till the software. After that, the software takes over. Then the software builds the loyalty in the customer. Software makes users fan of the brand. If I am using a particular service, whether it's a taxi service or a grocery delivery service, right, irrespective of whatever offer I get from a competing service, I will continue to use a Uber or a Grofers till I get a messy service, till I am disappointed with a particular aspect of the service, and then I move. Right? And when I move, all the money that that company has spent in reaching out to me through marketing campaigns, through email campaigns, is just lost. So, what the point I am trying to drive here is, if the businesses are getting rewritten by software, experience that consumers have on software while accessing, while doing transactions, while delivering business service is everything. That is why traditional businesses, brick and mortar businesses, need to kind of change their business model. A lot of them have realized if they don't change their business model, if they don't change the way they do business, they will very quickly become obsolete. These digital disruptors are winning a lot of business in the market because they are able to provide their customers with 3 fundamental basic things through the software. Fast, reliable, and secure. That's it. In a digital world, all you need is your software application that you are delivering the service where the consumer does the transaction. It has to be fast, has to be reliable, has to be secure. It's very simple when you put it like that. But people who run these applications, people who develop these applications and go through the value chain understand that it is not that easy. The whole business case behind going the app way is what I very passionately call disintermediation. That is ubiquitous today. Businesses want disintermediation. They want to cut out the intermediaries between business and a consumer. Every business, whether it is manufacturing, is retail, whether it is automotive, whether it is typical standard sales stuff or behavior. Disruption happens because of customer experience. Disruption happens because of lack of tolerance with the users on a particular service that they are using. If users are so easily digressed to a third party, to a different services, that is where the actual disruption is. So in order for any business to control that disruption, you need to have a handle on user experience. You need to have a handle on customer experience. The technology becomes secondary in terms of how that disruption is achieved. This is an important aspect of what is changing in today's world. Technology disruption has slowly paved way to user behavior based disruption. And as a large organization which is in this domain for more than 35 years, we had to get this right. We had to get this paradigm shift right. We had to get it right in terms of timing, in terms of what we do, in terms of where we do it. So 2 years ago, we did this huge survey across 1,125 digital unicorns, the likes of Flipkart and Snapdeal and Amazon and Uber and all that, 1,125 digital unicorns through a company called Freeform Dynamics, and to understand what are these guys doing so differently. Why are they so successful? Why are they able to bring services to market so fast? And the three things that stood out in that survey. The first thing that stood out in that survey is that all of these 1,125 organizations, all of these disruptive organizations have got an agile management, agile process in place, development process in place. They don't follow a waterfall-based development model. They don't have sequential processes that takes years and months to bring new service and product to the market. They have a way by which they can run developments in Scrum teams, Agile Scrum teams. They can run parallel development, and that parallel development streams can be dynamic so that they can bring services to market faster. You would have noticed the mobile updates that you get. Every 15 days you get an update. How is that possible? Why don't we get a Windows update for every 15 days? It's just not possible because they don't follow an agile methodology for an operating system, right? These digital unicorns, they follow an agile methodology for updates. The second thing that we noticed is that all of them have embraced the concept of DevOps. For a long time, development used to develop code and operations used to run the application or the system. Development was all about dynamics, development was all about agile, development was all about building more features every day. Operations was all about how can you keep the system stable. How can I not do change? Development was all about change, operations was all about no change. So there existed this huge friction between development and operations. And there existed this huge wall between developments and operations. These unicorns, these guys have what we call DevOps, which is a combined cadence between development and operations, by which development is part of operations and operations are part of development. And they use a framework where both of these organizations can talk together. And there is a continuous feedback loop between development and operations that enable them to release faster, that enable them to test faster, that enable them to find bugs before the code reaches production, because of which they can do this continuous release and continuous delivery. That's one of the key areas that we found out when we did this. The third area that we found out is, as we just established, business is driven by software. So if business is driven by software, then software needs to talk to software. Right? There needs to be interaction between software elements. Typically, that happens through a concept called API, Application Programmable Interface. All of these organizations, most of these organizations, use API-based development for application, whether it is mobile applications or other systems-related applications, leverage the power of APIs for inter-app communication or across applications. Right? These are the three critical areas that we found that these large digital unicorns are heavily invested in. So we thought that could be an area of, that could be the reason why they are so successful. We kind of went down that path and we created a whole set of solutions, differentiated solutions around these three themes. Right? The CA of yesteryear was all about framework. We will give you a large monitoring solution, we will give you a large security solution, you install it and monitor or secure your environment. You wouldn't hear that from CA anymore because we have understood this reality. We've said that this is where the market is moving. So we need, this is where customers want us to play. So we will play here, and we've kind of created solutions across these domains. Let's have a look at what we're doing differently. Can you have the video, please?
Applications are everywhere today. Users are constantly connected through their phones, web browsers, and increasingly via wearables like the Apple Watch. And apps are becoming the primary way consumers interact with companies through all kinds of services. But those services aren't actually in the apps. They're running in places like the cloud or data centers around the world. And most applications deliver value using APIs. APIs are the lines of communication that transport data between applications. A good example of this is the way that Yelp integrates with Google Maps to show users where to find recommended restaurants. Apps rely on APIs to deliver these kinds of services to users. To stay competitive, you need to bring great apps to market quickly, securely, and efficiently. That's where CA Technologies comes in. We are the only software provider who can help accelerate you through every stage of the application lifecycle, from the beginnings of an idea all the way through to development, deployment, and ensure your apps deliver the most value by constantly measuring ROI. Organizations that are ready to rapidly build and deliver new applications can take advantage of new opportunities. Unlike waterfall development, which is strictly sequential, Agile gives developers the freedom and flexibility to respond to changing customer needs. CA's Agile management solutions, including the market-leading software from our Rally acquisition, give you the tools and coaching you need to accelerate innovation, so you can align and enable your organization to deliver high-quality apps quickly and continuously measure their effectiveness and value. Our DevOps solutions also help our customers' applications get to market faster by enabling continuous delivery, so you know exactly how those apps are doing in the real world. Once your apps are in the marketplace, they're supported with capabilities that help you scale for growth, resolve issues quickly, and make constant improvements to your apps using real-world data from your users. CA's API solutions help you build security into your apps right from the start. When you can apply intelligent security, you do more than keep data and privacy safe. You actually improve the user experience, so customers aren't constantly being asked for things like one-time passwords or answers to secret questions. Today, it's more important than ever for companies to manage APIs so they can quickly create new apps, deliver valuable features, and resolve issues rapidly while keeping every transaction secure. CA Technologies has comprehensive solutions and services to meet your needs at each step of that journey, so you're ready to rise to the challenge and succeed in the application economy.
Yeah, so just to take this forward, we talked about these three things: the agile management, the DevOps cadence, and the cadence around APIs. We've been, like I said, we've been in the business since 1976. We've invested a lot of money in creating innovative solutions in these three areas. We've leveraged some of our existing technologies, we've created something new, we've acquired some of the technologies from the market. CS spends close to $1 billion in R&D, support, and design of these new products. And that is out of the revenue of $3 billion. We spend about $1 billion in innovating, designing, and supporting these new products. Right? Let's just come back to what we're talking about, the users, right? And let's bring the focus back to APM and the concept around users. Now, if you look at users, right, they are very interesting breed of people, like all of us. We are all excited to go into new technology, but we are also very excited to call out flaws when it happens. They are ready to expose this digital unicorns whenever they fail. Let's look at an example, right? The online brokerage firm, I don't know how many of you are aware, it's one of the largest brokerage firms in the US called E-Trade. They are into security trading online. They compete with many large players in the US for security trading business. One of the things that they innovatively did a few years ago was to offer what I call a payback or sign an SLA with the user, saying that if I submit a transaction at a share price of say $9.02, and if that transaction does not get executed at that same price, I will give you the money back. Right? Something very interesting. They have to capture market share. They have to go into new users. The way they found it is to sign an SLA with the end user. People don't do it because you can't measure the SLA, you can't control the SLA. They did it. Their brokerage, their financial system, the brokerage system suffered an outage. Can you imagine the amount of negative press? Forget about the negative press. They had to pay millions of dollars to the users that they had signed SLAs with. Huge negative reputation. A lot of us know about WhatsApp that went down for 8 hours very recently. The messaging app did not function. I bet none of you knew in the 8 hours another messaging app called Telegram got 3 million users in 8 hours. The 8 hours when WhatsApp went down, Telegram got 3 million users. Now, imagine this. This is the largest amount of user acquisition that any company has ever done in such a short period of time. Why did that happen? It is just because people were just irritated with WhatsApp, which is the most popular messaging app. People went to Telegram. If WhatsApp is down for 40 hours, probably they may not exist. Right? Interesting. Everybody knows about Obamacare. Obamacare is President Obama's healthcare initiative, where again one of the key initiatives that he took is disintermediation. He wanted to get rid of the intermediaries between the healthcare system and the end user, consumer. They launched it. It didn't work. It literally brought the American president down. The federal system literally got compromised because that application did not work, and it is a software application, online software application. Right? And look at how users expose this. Right? These are feeds from Twitter and Facebook where people are talking about what happened during trade. People are talking about what's happening with WhatsApp. People are talking about Obamacare. Expose failures in these applications, failures in these services. You can never hide in today's economy. In today's world, you cannot conceal a failure and go ahead with it because you will be exposed. Because again, the disruptors are the users. That market, that landscape is growing at the rate of knots in terms of the amount of applications that are being developed, amount of developers who are developing applications. But the key figure that I'm amazingly looking at is the number of mobile app downloads. It is estimated that we will have 268 billion mobile app downloads by 2017 in a planet of 7 billion. That is 35 applications per human being. Now you think about that and think about the amount of the impact that digital revolution can have and those application experiences can have. It's just enormous. We've been in this market for a long time. We've probably defined the traditional APM market in distributed world. For 15 years, CA Wiley, which is a technology that actually defined how transaction-based application performance monitoring should happen, has been there. We have had more than 1,000 enterprise customers across the world. We have had 80 patents filed on our existing APM technology. We have a telecom company that runs 144 billion metrics a day using our product. Now imagine 144 billion metrics a day, and that day is the iPhone launch day. Right? We have an online fax company that runs 2.5 million concurrent customers monitor the 2.5 million concurrent customer transactions using our application performance management technology. We are the leading vendor that has got 25,000 VMs deployed. We've been there, we have the scale, we have done it across industries, across verticals, across the globe. Right? We also have established partnerships with people like SAP. So SAP today, if you have an SAP customer, you use SAP and you use AGS, which is Active Global Support for SAP, they want to troubleshoot within your application, they use our product. And SAP resells our application performance management under the new name called SAP Extended Diagnostics. The in-memory database from SAP called HANA, which they launched recently, where they are migrating people to, that also uses our technology to understand problems within their application. So it's a proof point of we're already there, we've already captured the market. And then came this reality of what these unicorns are doing. And then came the reality of it is all about the users. And it is all about how user behavior drives this market. So let's look at that reality, right? In the early 1990s, early 2000s, applications were off the box, right? You had a box. Remember those old shell scripts that would run in a laptop or a desktop, and they will be confined within that desktop. You monitor the desktop, you monitor the process, you monitor the application. Application management was all about that. We've been there, we've done that. Then came the whole boom around transactions, which was purely based on from middleware, SOA, Web 2.0, and all those technologies were asynchronous transactions, and everybody wanted to look at stitch asynchronous transactions. I want to see transactions. You talk to any CIO during the last 2007, 2014, 15, they will talk about transactions. I want to see transactions, I want to see transactions. That's the area that I talked about. We invented that area, we are a leader in that space. But going forward, it is neither about applications nor about transactions. It is about users. It is about people don't want to look at transactions. We were in a meeting with a CIO of a large bank, and he was evaluating some technologies for monitoring experience of the users. And he said, I don't want to look at transactions. I want to look at user behavior. I want to look at customer satisfaction index. I want to look at customer experience index. I don't want to look at transactions. My team will look at transactions. My engineers will look at transactions if it's required. But I don't want to build a business around metrics and transactions and a lot of data. That's the business of yesteryears. I want to build a business around the experience that I'm offering with my application. Now, if that is the case, and if it is all about the user, you need to have a solution that enables you to inspire your users. And the brand conversation that we are having, it inspires the users to stick with the brand. For that, we need to take a different approach in terms of our APM strategy. To explain that in detail, I would like to invite on stage Jason Warfield from Washington, D.C. He is a Vice President for Solution Strategy and has been involved in designing this new approach, and he'll explain to you what we're doing different and why we're doing different. Jason, welcome to the stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abby. Good evening, everybody. As Abby mentioned, my name is Jason Warfield, based out of Washington, D.C. Responsible for solution strategy for CA's enterprise management business. And I've been in this space for 15 years, the last 10 and a half here at CA. And it's pretty amazing when you look at how quickly the world is changing and being driven by software in terms of some of the largest and I'd say more traditional businesses and industries are being aggressively disrupted. Abby mentioned a number of great examples. My personal example traveling here is a great example of how software has definitely changed the international travel experience. Leaving, I took an Uber taxi, checked in using a mobile boarding pass. I arrived in India. I was able to expedite my entry using an e-tourist visa. I then took a Uber to the hotel where I was already checked in using my mobile app. So it's pretty amazing when you look at how software has really changed, disrupted, and facilitated user experience across a lot of different industries. But earlier today, between sessions, I was thinking, how do I actually make this a little more personal? Because my old mentor used to tell me all the time, if you want people to remember something, make it personal so that they can relate to it. And one of the things that hit me as I was going down to Connecticut Place, again, driven by software, I needed a new headset. I had broken my headset earlier this week. So I opened up Google Maps, was able to find a Sony Center, took an Uber down to Connecticut Place, purchased my headset, and then on the walk back, it hit me. I said, you know what? Instead of looking at things through my eyes, let's look at things through someone who's actually born into the application. And you might be wondering, what does this baby have to do with the app economy? And the honest answer is nothing. I've just been away for a week, so I kind of got homesick and wanted to see my beautiful daughter on the screen for a few minutes. But no, the honest answer is she has everything to do with it. If you think about what her life is going to be like, a lot of the things that we do today, that I do, for her, her whole life is going to be a software experience. Music will be software, it already is. Entertainment and content will be fully driven by software. Payment. She may never actually know what it's like to go to the front desk at the hotel like I did earlier today, exchange $20 US in exchange for rupees, 1,200 rupees, and then walk into a store and pay with cash. It will be all driven through software, through an app, who knows, through retina scan. So really a lot of transportation is another example, right? She may never own a car. Literally, cars may become, and probably will be for her, a software experience. So she'll just hit a button, request transportation, and we take point A to point B. So it's pretty phenomenal when you start to look at how software is going to continue to disrupt the world, and it challenged companies to really do business very differently, interact with their customers very differently, and really focus heavily on delivering a great user experience through the software interactions with their brand. So Abby talked about the importance of user experience. Well, here's some numbers that back that up. 67% of folks have little tolerance for latency when using an app. You hit a button, you open an app, you expect it to work, right? In the past, we had a lot more tolerance for waiting on the web. You might get a little bit of a delay. Certainly when you call into a call center, you expected to wait. Now it's expected that everything works, and if you don't, you have the ability to share that experience with the world in real time. So when you look at the fact that ratings are now available to everyone who attempts to download the app, and things like crashes have a huge impact on not just the rating for that app, but ultimately the impact on that brand. So when you look at that last statistic there, 27% of users will consider abandoning a brand for a poor app experience. That's because the two are inextricably linked nowadays, where the primary conduit into a lot of services, a lot of businesses, and a lot of brands is through the app. So a poor app experience is associated with a poor brand, right or wrong, in today's economy. So to articulate why it's important to deliver a great user experience every single time, we have a short video we're going to play to drive that point home. And then I'll come back and talk about how are we helping companies navigate through this challenge.
Oh, finance app. I've been wanting to roll over my IRA.
Sure. I just need to collect your name, the place you live,
Yeah, it's a
your
little,
social security number,
because we just met.
your net worth.
Next.
Yeah, I'm a streaming app. Music, movies,
Yeah.
whatever you want, whatever you want.
Great.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah, like chick flick.
Yeah.
Happy, you're pretty.
Okay.
Actually, I can't stream anything right now.
You just said,
I know. It's a buffering issue. Just ignore it. But it's not. That's not true. It is better on.
done. Next. Perfect. I know exactly what stock I want to buy.
English or Korean?
English.
Okay, Korean. Please give me your card info. Please wait. My backend database has crashed. It's Kate, right? Your friend Maggie said some great things about you.
Yeah.
You like cute heels, but you love the words good with stilettos. You love comfort, but you're not willing to sacrifice style in your mouth into mules.
I hate them.
So what do you think of these?
It is like you know everything about me. Not in a creepy way.
Look, you might get called later, so I want to catch me around. Matches your eyes. That's 80% off. I've got jeans, tops, dresses, earrings, whatever you want. Just relax and I'll take care of the rest.
Okay.
we help companies deliver that kind of experience, to be clear, the last experience, on a daily, continual basis as they interact with their users? First and foremost, it's by allowing them to deliver great performance by providing a high level of visibility into that experience, not just for one individual, but collectively across all individuals. In addition, what we do is we ensure that that user experience is reliable and consistent. So at the end of the day, it's not just how you use the app today or tomorrow, it's every single time you open the app, you expect to have a great interaction with that brand. So we talked about how we can ensure great performance, consistent and reliable performance, but increasingly, as you saw in the video, it's not enough just to do that. What companies are interested in doing now is really predicting their users' behavior and users' expectations. And in order to do that, you need in-depth understanding of their usage, their behaviors, their patterns, things that they do within their experience that they like, things that they don't like. So that data and analytics are really critical to being able to continually improve the user experience interacting with your brand. And I'll talk about how we do that in a few minutes here. So collectively for us, the way we're delivering on this is through something we're calling Epic APM. And for us, Epic is a theme. It's not a release, it's not a feature, it's not a point in time. Epic stands for easy, proactive, instructive, and collaborative. And it really guides everything we're doing from a development perspective as we evolve and move our software forward. In terms of easy, easy is all about driving adoption of APM across an organization. Not just within the operations team, not just within the APM experts, not just for the developers, but making APM relevant and easy to understand for everyone who needs and wants to consume that information in real time. Proactive, that's all about ensuring a great user experience every single time they interact with your business. The way we do that is through analytics. Being able to get ahead of problems, identify potential bottlenecks, give you information you can act on, prevent things that will ultimately deliver a poor experience to your users. Instructive, that's all about focusing on specific personas and understanding what are the type of information that people need to do their job more effectively, how do they want it delivered, how do they want to consume it, and how do they want to navigate to get to the information they need. And collaborative. In today's operations environment, a ton of time is lost sharing information, going from screen to screen, copying and pasting, emailing, instant messaging, talking on the phone. In our opinion, all of that should be driven by software experience. The collaboration should be done within the same solution that's providing the information. It should be available to everyone who needs it. It should be updated in real time. And you should be able to work through, prevent, or triage problems using the solution itself. The ultimate goal is to really move away from what we call descriptive APM and what we feel the competition is focused on, where you go out, you collect a bunch of data, and you deliver it via dashboards and views and screens. And then you as a customer have the burden of trying to interpret that data and do something meaningful with it. For us, the focus is on letting the software do that and provide that intelligence for you. Providing prescriptive, actionable information you can use. Filtering that information down to make it meaningful for different levels of audiences, and then allowing you to immediately take action to better run your business. When I talk about instructive is not a user interface, it's not pretty pictures, it's not a lot of colors on a screen. Certainly it's important from a design perspective for things to look good for them to be clean, clear, concise. But it's equally as important for the information to be relevant, for the workflow to be logical, for someone to be able to quickly consume and navigate through the solution. So for us, design is a lot more than just making things look pretty. And what we've delivered in our latest releases of our software is not a new user interface. It's a completely new user experience. And it's powered by that Epic theme, and it's focused on specific personas so that we can provide the information in a way, in a manner that is easily consumed and distributed throughout your organization. So what do we mean by personas? So personas are essentially groups of individuals and users. So the first persona we refer to as Pete. Pete is a person you see every day in the operations center. He's your level 1 analyst. He's responsible for not just APM, but infrastructure management, maybe security, could be systems. Pete's got a lot of responsibility across a broad set of technology, is typically not going to be a subject matter expert in any of the domains that he's responsible for. And Pete does his best to figure out how to resolve issues himself without having to escalate them and get additional folks involved. The challenge for Pete is understanding, especially as it relates to APM, what the actual situation is, what the severity of the problem is, and is it something he can actually resolve himself, or is it something he needs to get someone involved to help him? And who is that person? Is it Ryan, who's an APM expert? Is the problem actually in the application and the code itself? In which case, he'll need to get Andrew or the development team. Is the problem database related? In that case, he needs to engage a different group or individual. Today, this decision is typically made either in a pre-formatted way or in a way where everyone gets involved, or typically a way where someone like Ryan gets pulled in. Ryan's the APM expert. Everybody knows the experts in your business because you probably called them yourself. Everyone knows when they get engaged, problems get resolved, things move quickly, and you can get back to business. Problem is, there's not enough experts. And Ryan has other things he's responsible for doing that are more strategic for the business. And unfortunately, whether it's 8 in the morning, 8 at night, Saturday or Sunday, too often Ryan has to get engaged to resolve a problem. And for us, the goal is to enable Pete to be more effective, to take pressure off of Ryan, and then when there is a problem that needs to get escalated to the development team, being very efficient with the developer's time. Abby talked about Agile and bringing more innovation to market as quickly as possible. Well, as a result, that means developers are very busy writing code, driving that innovation. So when they get engaged to triage problems and work through issues, we need to ensure that we're being very efficient with their time, with the information we're giving them, telling them what needs to be fixed, literally down to the line of code that is causing the problem, so that they can resolve the issue as quickly as they possibly can to get back to driving that innovation. So we talk about inspiring users. How do we do that from a practical perspective? Well, the way we do that is we have visibility for each individual's user experience all the way from their mobile device through the mainframe where applicable. So from a user perspective, we understand in real time how effectively are they able to access your service, what type of device are they using, which version of OS are they running, what are the resources like on their individual handheld, which telecom provider are they coming across. We can understand latency across pretty much the entire experience from their handheld device all the way through the actual back-end systems. And we take that information and we aggregate it up so that if you have 1,000, 150,000, 1.5 million users, we tell you collectively how are they performing, how many concurrent users do you have at this point in time, what percentage of them are experiencing a problem? Is it in a certain geography? Is it a certain telecom provider? Is it a certain version of operating system on a specific phone? So give you information you can use in real time to make the appropriate changes. From a behavior perspective, we tell you how are your users interacting with your app. There's a lot of time, a lot of money spent building apps. But all apps are not created equal. So you're understanding how your users interacting with the app. Is that how you designed it to be used? Is it the most efficient way to navigate through? Which paths are they taking to ultimately get to the information or to buy the good? Is that what you expected? Is there latency in certain areas? Are they abandoning your app in certain areas? Are certain areas performing much more poorly than others? These are all questions we can answer within the software in real time to be used by operations. It can be used by development. It can be used by marketing as well. And then I talked about that end-to-end perspective. So being able to follow that interaction all the way through the back-end technology that supports it. So being able to see all the transactions that are supporting that user experience. Being able to see all the communications with the middleware and the back-end systems. But for us, it's not about showing you all the technology, all the interactions. It's all about providing a perspective that you can actually use. So think of perspectives as giving you a view into the specific areas of technology that are of interest for you at that point in time. And Tio will go through this in a demo, but this is a revolutionary way to manage applications in today's economy. So it's all about understanding the specific persona, which I talked about, understanding the information that individual needs, and then presenting that information in a very filtered, easy to understand, easy to consume way. Is my performance of my application environment trending in the wrong direction? Is it a severe degradation of performance, or is it just minor? Is it transient, or is it consistent? Is it impacting my users, or is it just slowing the back-end systems down? Being able to answer that in real time. Timeline views. That's all about giving you the ability within the solution to go back to specific points in time and replay what happened. The user was impacted, why? Is it because the application took a different path? Did it communicate with a different backend database? Was a new version of that application introduced into the environment at the same time we saw the performance degrade? Being able to answer that within the solution is what we provide with that capability. And then differential analysis. That's all about leveraging the millions and millions and millions of available data points and filtering those down to understand what does that actually mean. Understanding the difference in performance. Being able to do things like understand peak load during holiday season, and is this year's peak load causing undue stress as compared to last year's peak load. So it's intelligent analytics that look at all the data that's in the entire warehouse, whether we collect it directly or not, and then being able to analyze that in real time to identify performance problems, bottlenecks, degradations, trends, and present that to you so that you can proactively take action instead of waiting for problems to occur. And support for modern technologies. So when you look at agile approaches, look at increasing velocity of applications being deployed, a lot of that is powered by some of the modern technologies and frameworks. Microservices. Microservices offer great agility, offer the ability to quickly deploy, offer the ability to quickly update. But they also introduce new technologies into the environment. Additional complexity. There's something else to consider as potential points of failure. So it's important to be able to monitor not just the application and the user experience, but the microservice or Docker container technology that may be used to deploy those applications. Mobile. A lot of mobile front ends and apps are powered on the back end by Node.js. So you need visibility into your node environment to understand how is that performing and is that causing any impact to my users and my applications. Cloud Foundry. A lot of newer applications are being deployed on the Cloud Foundry platform. But again, great agility, additional technology, additional complexity, additional potential points of bottlenecks or failures. So for us, it's all about being able to ensure that entire experience, mobile to mainframe, and allowing you to also incorporate some of the more modern technologies while still being able to use the same solution as you move forward. So to summarize, we feel our Epic approach is really going to change the market in ways that a lot of the technologies that Abby talked about and I talked about earlier have disrupted other markets. For us, we're doing it powered by thought leadership and patented technology. So a number of the capabilities I talked about today are patent pending. We already have over 90 patents in our solutions today. We're continuing to challenge our development team to think of new and innovative ways to bring new capability or leapfrog type capability into the market. And some of that you saw in today's presentation. That end-to-end visibility is critical to assuring a great user experience. Not one time, but every time. Analytics. When you talk about managing millions, tens of millions of users, and you look at all the data that's available today from a performance perspective, it's simply not practical to think individuals can filter through that and do anything meaningful with that. So our approach is to continue to push the limits of analytics and continue to invest heavily in analytics to the point where we have a data scientist team we work with is continually looking at ways to leverage the rich sets of data that we already collect today in new and innovative ways as we move forward. And lastly, it's important to have a solution that you know confidently will be able to scale as your business grows, as you introduce new applications, as your user population continues to expand. You need to have an APM solution that can confidently scale to support the increased workload and additional demand in your production environment. And with that, I'll wrap up the presentation and open it up to any questions any of you may have. Yes? So the question is APM cloud-based or on-premise? The answer is it's a combination of both. So the user experience can be captured either using a SaaS backend or on-premise. The applications themselves can be instrumented, whether they're running on-premise or in a cloud. The big thing for us is we do house all the data in a single repository, so we have full visibility across all of it. So the answer is it's both, combination of the two. Yes?
It will be only for computer and app-based program or like I have mobile, right? So it will be on the mobile app performance, or it will be I'm like any application I'm running on any system. So
For user experience?
yeah,
Is it app-based or is it just across the board? Is that the question?
yeah.
It's both. So we have the ability to look at user experience with an app, literally for each individual. So essentially, when the app is downloaded, we just natively collect information about their experience. We also can look at user experience from a web browser, so web-based experience. We can capture real transactions as they come into the data center, or we have the ability to run synthetic transactions. So for us, we give you a pretty comprehensive set of user experience capabilities.
Okay, like I have a server, right? And I have some applications installed on the server, and I have given that application through web-based to all my users within specific of area like Pan India or something like that. So now the application APM, will it be installed on a server to monitor the performance of that application on server based, or it will be on workstation based?
So for the
And
app,
will it be runtime basis? So will it be giving me any report kind of thing or any analysis like what is the performance of that DB or application, or what is exactly the problem?
yes. So for the application, most of the instrumentation for the application is done at the application server level. It is runtime based, so that once the app starts up, the monitoring is readily available. It will look at all the transactions, including those that go to a database in the back end. We'll see the SQL calls. We can understand if it's a slow call or if it's death by 1,000 calls. So we do give you that level of granularity within the solution as well.
Solution kind of thing, like any SQL is taking time, how can we improve the SQL or it will be only giving us a report that SQL, which SQL is taking time, so that only the report will get.
Yeah. So the question is, will we tell you which SQL statement is slow, or will we recommend how to basically improve that?
Yeah, either in any piece of code which is there in the front end application, so whether which piece of code is giving us the problem or that kind of data.
Yeah. So we will tell you if it's code or if it's both. We'll tell you the actual line of code, literally the line of code that is causing the bottleneck and/or the actual SQL call. Now, if there's latency on both sides, we'll tell you that, but we will tell you down to the line of code and/or the individual SQL calls that are having a problem.
Okay. Another question is that if, for example, I have an application server, right, and I have installed more than one application on that server. Might be I have one or two applications, small applications, so I have installed all those applications on the server. Now, if I am installing this APM on that server, right, so whether it will monitor for both the applications or it will I need to configure separately, or it will be like single alone to handle both the applications?
It depends on how the app is instantiated, how it runs. If they're both running in the same JVM, which I've seen in many cases,
It will be different JVM.
then you instrument it essentially be instrumented once, and we see both applications running.
This application performance tool is applicable for in the mobility also for the video transmission.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
If, in the mobility conditions, whether this application performance management tool will be applicable.
To mobile? Oh, yes. So for mobile, you said,
Can be applied or not?
can it be applied on mobile?
Rather.
Yes, yeah. So the whole, not the whole, but a lot of what I talked about from a user experience today, that specifically on mobile. So with the mobile app, basically when the app is downloaded, whether it's the App Store, Google, the store, as part of that install, and when the user brings the app up, we are looking at how long did it take to load the app, what is the user doing within the app, what are the API calls from the app to the actual application, how long are each of those taking, what version of, what type of hardware is the user running, what are the resources available on that hardware, what operating system, if it's an Apple phone, is it a native Apple phone or is it a jailbroken Apple phone? So you get a very rich understanding at the individual user level, and then we provide analytics to aggregate that up. So, if you're looking at hundreds of thousands or millions of users, you kind of want to look at it more holistically. So we'll give you a broader perspective, but you can drill down into any individual user session. You could replay the session. So there's a very in-depth perspective. And Tio, after me, is going to actually walk through a demo, so you'll see the actual software running and the type of information that we collect and make available.
Would it incorporate more latency in the loading? Latency?
I'm sorry, it's
Latency.
latency. Oh, will it cause latency?
Yeah.
So we're very sensitive about that. So the overhead is very low to begin with, and then we have the ability to queue up information and send it only over Wi-Fi. There's a number of configurable parameters that allow you to choose how much information gets captured, how do you want to store and forward it. So we're very sensitive about that and make sure that we give you as a customer the ability to configure a lot of those parameters.
Thank you.
I have a question, we are having 10 web servers around and some database servers. So is it going to be deployed on each and every web server?
Could we turn the microphones up a little bit? Because I can't really hear.
Okay. Are you able to hear it now?
Yes, there we go.
We are having around 10 web servers, and is it going to be deployed on each and every web server, the APM tool?
Can we do what with them?
So these web servers are behind a load balancer, and the requests are being load balanced, whatever requests are coming. So is it going to be deployed on each and every web server?
Can we monitor an environment that's load balanced? Is that what?
Yeah, this is.
I'll just explain the question. So the question that he's asking is, he has around 10 web servers behind a load balancer.
Yep.
His question
Is it needed to be deployed on each and every web server, or there is going to be a centralized place, and then from there it will be monitoring all the web servers?
Typically we would instrument it once, and we'd see the communication as it goes to each of the individual web servers behind it. So we would show you, which web server is being interacted with, what was the performance of that transaction with that specific web server.
Actually, we are currently using another tool for APM, and this tool is having a capability to do instrumentation. Suppose we want to drill down, right? So it can profile and send more matrices to cloud. So suppose we want to, but in that case we need to change the code, and we need to include in that the steps of it, the instrumentation steps into the code. So do we need to do with this tool also, or we can mention there in the tool itself that I want to drill down more between this and this particular piece of code?
So for the application itself, you do not need to change the code. For the app, the mobile app, you would either need to wrap the app or to insert 2 lines of code into the actual app itself, or recompile the app.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add to that.
But what about the mobile site or a desktop site?
So for the mobile, yes, you would either need to wrap the app, which does not need a recompile, or if you want to get the more detailed information, there's literally 2 lines of code from us that you would need to embed into your app and then recompile it with the code.
In case of mobile site, is it going to be like some JavaScript which is going to be embedded into it, the HTML page which is going to be rendered, or there is no JavaScript at all which is going to be embedded? Because we are seeing that the tool which we are using currently, the APM tool, it is embedding some JavaScript there into the code, and that is being sent to the client end.
For web browser response.
Yeah.
Yes. For mobile, no, that's not.
So if it's a native mobile app, you don't need to do anything.
Okay.
So there's no JavaScript involved. You just have to wrap your APK with our SDK, that's it, and that's all automated process.
Okay.
But if it's your Java code that's deployed on the application server, you don't need to make any changes to your code at all. So
Okay.
we use a technology that allows us to look into the code without the developer's intervention.
Okay.
Yeah, basically there are many ways to measure customer and user experience.
Okay.
JavaScript is one of them. We have that technology. And as Srikanth mentioned, there are other ways, wrapping, appliance, network.
Right.
So we have a variety of ways. The mobile user experience, we do it by wrapping, so we can take a mobile app let's say that's on Google Play or App Store, you can, especially Google Play, you can grab that immediately. There's no agent that resides on a mobile device itself. There's nothing in it. But we do instrumentation.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
the one that you mentioned about stop, modifying stop, that seems like really old way.
Okay.
We don't do that. We don't require customers to change anything on their applications. That's sort of interesting. All we need to ask them is to install our agent along with the applications. And most Java applications are jar, so just mention, hey, this is a jar file that you need to input along with Java.
We use .NET actually for all the things.
.NET's even easier. .NET's the installation is a lot easier than Java. It's like the Windows point and click. So we have a very good technology also in .NET, and we support many of the web services.
Okay.
Like that. So if you use the WCF, for example,
Yeah.
heavily, we support that.
All right. Thanks.
Well, I think I've just been given the signal to wrap up. So, but we'll all be here after the session as well. So feel free to ask any of us questions. I'm going to actually turn it over to Tio Baggio now, who will walk you through a demo and actually let you see the software running. And he also can continue to answer any additional technical questions you have. So thank you for your time.
Solutions look like and how CA can help you understand your customer experience and also understand the health of your applications and diagnose problems and how to troubleshoot them. Right. So this is our mobile application solution. This is a SaaS platform. So at a glance, you see the several applications that we manage. They are ranked by the number of active users. And you also see some of the problematic applications. So let's just use these problematic applications, what we call Text Exchange. It's basically a mobile app that helps end users to buy tickets online for concerts. With the overview, you can see the usage of these mobile apps. So the last 7 days, basically there are 40 users, and they do multiple sessions. There are 11 sessions, and we can see where the users come from, right, as depicted on the map. We also see some of the interesting problems related with these mobile applications. So there are some crashes that happen.
Just one second.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys in the back that can't hear. So I'm increasing volume if you can just speak up a little.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Sorry.
Good. So as you can see, there are a number of problems related to this particular text exchange. There are crashes, and we would like to know what happened in the crash and be able to give you some diagnostic report. There are some thresholds that the administrators configured for the application that has been exceeded, as is pointed out there. And there are some flag sessions. So I'm going to drill down further into the usage of this text exchange. I can see the users, how they come in the past 7 days. I can see the platforms and the devices that they use. So whether they are using iOS or Android, which version of Android or which version of iOS, whether they're using the latest 9 or are they still behind, whether that's jailbroken. And more importantly, the carrier or the connectivity that they're having. And it could be a Wi-Fi, it could be they subscribe to certain carriers, and whether that carrier is actually influence or have something to do with the problem or the crashes that we have. And you can also see the sessions, the number of sessions that users have, the length of sessions. That's what's depicted there. If I drill down further, here are the list of sessions, individual sessions that we capture. And you're going to love these capabilities. Right off the bat, you can see these sessions, where they come from, what devices they have. And if I go into a specific session, let's just pick one. Let's see, the one with the 22-second sessions. You see in this particular session, it has to do with the user 10 accessing it for about 22 seconds. And the user experience, he is using an Apple iOS version 9, which is not jailbroken. And you can see that he experienced a crash, which is indicated here on the right-hand side, as well as indicated in the color-coded list of events that we captured. So, he used it for a particular amount of time, and then the application suddenly crashes. What we capture here in this session are the detailed events. And what I mean by events are, it could be network events. Maybe that is usually a call, an API calls that the application makes to your backends. It could be events that indicates whether the session starts or finish. It can be the transition, when the screen goes from one to another. Right? And for each of the session, we capture the detail of the session. For example, here's the network session. The mobile app makes a backend API called a REST API to your backends. We can see the number of the data that's required, the amount of requests, how much response given, whether they're successful, what are the delay in there. And more interestingly, we capture the screenshots. So what the user sees is what you get here. And I can even replay that whole entire sessions back. Right? This is very useful for business people because now they can see the individual activities. They know whether Jason is somebody who likes to purchase a ticket right away, or somebody's like Abhi who just wants to browse. Right? He understands the user behavior by just looking at the user activity of the sessions. And one thing, I don't know if you noticed that if I play it back, you see this green dots in there? That's user gesture. That's the area on the screen that the user touches. Right. So it gives you a good idea whether the design, the UI, whether the visual clues or cues that that comes with the app are used appropriately. And say that the user tilt the from horizontal to portrait, whether that mobile app is displayed properly. So all of this is a very valuable information for the business as well as for the somebody who's more technical. I'll give you another one. So technical people will be interested in what's the cost of these application crashes. So we can by just clicking on that icon, it will give you the incident report where it tells you the devices, all kinds of details about the devices, as well as the lines of codes where the crash happens. Very useful for your technical people. They don't have to guess anymore. They know exactly what happened and where that crashes occur. And I talk about individual sessions. So you might be thinking, well, that is useful, but I can't go to each individual session. There's no way I do that. Only if some session that I'm interested in, then I would go detail. What I want is some kind of analytics. Right? So we have that. So what we do is we gather, summarize, analyze all of this data, and tell you the sequence of events or the flow of that user journey. Right? And you can see that in terms of the performance, for example. The right one here indicates that it takes quite a bit of time for that screen to stop. So you can see that it's a little bit small font. We tell you what's the spending time, what's the delay in bringing up that particular screen. We also tells you the usage of these different screens, of these navigations. So for example, the product screen, how many people actually view that? How long does it take from people to log in until to get to the products that they want and to the purchase that they want to do? Is there user drop-off? What is the conversion rate from that product into a transaction, a business transactions? So this is the kind of analytics that are very useful, and we gather not only just the details of the sessions, but we bring it up, we aggregate them, we analyze them, and give you all this goodness in these mobile app analytics. One thing, if I want to go back to sessions, I think the gentleman previously asked, well, how do you then know what's my backend? Right? What I've been describing so far is what's happening on the mobile front end. So let's go back to that session. And notice that, okay, well, the events are interesting, but I'm more interested in the transactions. Right? So we give that to you. Here's the list of transactions that occur within that session. And if there's any slowness, I can just click on that APM link, and it will take me right away to the APM 10 screens. Here's the APM 10, and basically what you're seeing now is how that user transactions, which is on the left-hand side and the very far left, are supported by your backends, all the supporting components. So here you can drill down further. What are the supporting components and the relationship with the backends, such as the database that we have here. So in other words, we map out the relationship, the whole relationship, entire relationship, from the user, the transactions, to your backends, to your servers, to all the supporting software components that make up the service. That's what basically makes APM easy for people to not only understand the environment, diagnose problem, detect issues that are happening. All of this, by the way, is automatic. Let me go back to finish the mobile app story. So we have shown the linking between the mobile user transactions. Now, there are a number of things that help the users or business in this mobile app. One thing is ability to customize the data. So not all people are interested in, or some people are interested in more business-oriented data. So for example, the cart status. How many items are in the cart? You want to know that. What are the dollar value associated with the transactions? So these are not typically values that are exposed by performance management per se, but we give you the capabilities to extract that and bring that those business metrics to APM. And one last thing is to be able to compare multiple releases of applications or less. And in terms of the resource consumption that it demands from the devices. So all of these are available with our mobile app. Now, going to the more to the back end. As I mentioned, we map out the relationship automatically for you. One of the things that we make it easy in APM, and we realize that we talk about this intermediation that has happening in the consumer place. That's also happened in APM in your internal IT. I call that democratization. So meaning that the traditionally it's been used by experts, right? People who are developer or tend to be technical. And what we realized that a lot of level 1 support analysts, those people who don't go to computer science school, who don't necessarily know applications in detail, they also want to be able to use tools like this to do their jobs better. Usually the level 1 support, they get a call from the customer, right? And the first thing they want to know is, is this problem, can I make sense of this problem? Where should I look at? If I cannot solve it, who do I give it to? So these are the type of problems that occur daily in the level 1 support, which is, Jason mentioned, we give them a persona name called Pete. Right? So how do we make Pete's job easier? Well, we see the relationship. Another thing we can do for him is that we give him capabilities to organize this relationship to his liking. So maybe this view doesn't fit him, right? Maybe he wants to see by location. Go right ahead, just click location. You will be able to see all the different locations where the software sits at. Right? What about order? Who are these people, or who are the owner? They're all responsible for these applications. Who do I need to contact? You can click on that and apply different perspective. And here are the different owners. The web team are responsible for these set of components, and the e-commerce are responsible for another set, and so on. So ability to apply this perspective, his own mental map, and to organize the data that's already there is the key in APM 10. One thing I should point out that we are able to do that by using what we call attributes. So there are attributes that agents or our solutions already capture out of the box. For example, like the application's name. We understand that out of the box. We know where the host, where that application resides. We know the IP address and so on. But there are also attributes that you can customize, that you can assign to these software or software components. One example is a release number, release version. So a release, so if you update the release, we know about that release and any changes related to that. Another thing that we can make people's job easier by using analytics. Right? So as you can see, each tile in there, or each node, each software components, the health of those components are represented by two data, two indicators. The one on the right is basically your SLA. It's basically based on the alerts that you set up. Let me explain. Here is what you are probably accustomed to. If you walk into the IT data center, the NOC, this is what you see, right? Red, yellow alerts, difficulties with this is, especially in the case of event storm, it's hard to make sense of what is important. Do they really need to pay attention to this? Is everything right? How long is that alert has been happening? So what we do then is we apply some algorithms and reduce that to something that's easy to digest for level 1 analysts. So here's we summarize that there's, for example, 5 out of 18, 5 red alerts out of 18, and the height of the bar, which is very low, is the first one there, indicates it's not a big concern. It's not as severe as you think it is, even though we have some 5 alerts. That's one way. Another way we do that is by using what we call differential analysis. So the differential analysis is indicated by this blue bar. The higher it is, the more abnormal the condition is, the more unstable your applications. And if I can give you another picture of that color, the blue bar, it's the same as this one. So here you have basically a performance response time of business transactions, and you can see the different gradation of the performance. There's a spike, and we learn that it is way out of normal, and we assign a darker bar than compared to the rest. So in other words, differential analysis is a smart baselining. It gives you seasonality. It compares Friday to date performance with last Friday. It tells you what is abnormal. And the way these two things work together in conjunction. One is about SLA, something that's fixed, something that you already promised to your business. The other one is constantly learning. The differential analysis is always there, always learning about what's normal and what's out of, what is unstable and out of normal. The SLA is something that you set up, the thresholds. You set up those thresholds. Otherwise, it would not fire up, it would not occur. The differential analysis, you don't have to set up anything. The minute you put our solution, it will learn. It will know which metrics, which one is important, and it will apply its algorithm. So this is how we make the level 1 support analyst job easier by giving them clues about the health of the applications and the applications components. And the last thing we make their job easier is by using what we call timeline. So timeline is, the name indicates it's a way to look back in time at the historical data. Here, like I said, let's go back to history. Go back to, let's say, 40 minutes. And not only I see the history, I can overlay this with changes that are happening in the environment, that are happening in your applications. So what are the changes that we can do? We can detect status changes, how many the alerts happening from green to yellow, from yellow to red, the topological changes. So if the transaction path takes a different route because the additional servers cater for capacity, we can detect that. If you subtract certain services or backends because they are down, it will affect also the topology, and we detect that. And lastly, the attributes change, which I mentioned before. You have a release, a new release. We detect that because the attribute changed. And here you see that there's a new release happening because there's attribute changes, which cause the topology change and that in turns fire up a lot of the alerts. You can examine this, and if you're, by going back in time, can I compare? Compare what's before the change that we detected and what is after. So this is how we make the applications performance management easier for you, for your technical people, as well as the laymen alike. So any questions so far? Yeah.
My question is about like low-end devices. Are you hear me?
Okay.
So my question is about low-end devices. So this SDK which is there, would it be supported on low-end devices also?
Low-end devices. What do you mean by low? Give me an example.
So a lot of people are there, right, who are using Android version 2.3, 2.4, which is
Okay.
below 4.0. So for that also this SDK.
I have to get back to you on that, whether it's for support version 2 all the way. But we do support a variety of versions. And I know the latest is for iOS is 9 and I think 14 or 4. Or
5.3 is Marshmallow. I heard.
Let me actually check quickly. I can probably see that from here. So here I can see the applications and I can filter that by platform, right? Let's say Android. And I can see the platform version. So right now what I see is 4 is probably the lowest, but doesn't mean it includes lower version. But yeah, I have to get back to you on that in terms of the lowest number version. We do have support document that states that.
And one more question is about Windows app. Do you have the SDK for Windows app as well?
Okay. Good question. So for the custom, for this mobile device solution, mobile application solution, right now we support iOS and Android. These are the 2 primary platforms we support now.
I'll be asking more questions maybe later on.
Okay. Any more? Okay. I guess with that I conclude my demo, and here's Avi for the closing.
Thank you, Tio. So thank you everybody for interactive participation in this session. So what we did is we covered why we are taking a different direction on APM. We talked about a couple of critical features that Jason covered in terms of what are the different things that we're doing in APM, and we saw a demo. Both Jason and Tio are going to be around. If you have more questions, we've got our technical team and our sales team also from CA available. We'll be happy to take some questions. Thank you again for being a wonderful audience. Thank you for all the interactions, questions. We will now conclude the event, and please make sure that you have a feedback form. Please fill that up and leave it at the reception, please. And now we'll be ready for dinner and drinks. The bar will be open. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.